I know how the story ends. I think about it a lot. I also think a lot about how it all began some years ago in a public library of all places. The tone of incredulity is to emphasize how unlikely of a place for a first encounter this was, considering whom it was with. The love of my life, yes. She'd never been big on libraries. She'd blame it on commute, but it had more to do with her having to stay quiet for an extended period of time than anything else, really. And forced silence was torture for my lovely chatterbox. The first meeting was nothing short of serendipitous. She was studying architecture, all bright-eyed and brilliant, while I was her average English literature major guy, trying to woo the ladies with major help from Byron and Shelley. I forget what it was that had led her to be there that afternoon, occupying the seat next to my regular one at the corner desk. But I remember feeling grateful. That gratitude has stayed with me to this day. Us becoming friends felt like the most natural thing in the world. At the risk of sounding incredibly cliché, it was almost as if we'd known each other forever. She's kind and she is beautiful. And back in the day, intermingled with the respect and attraction that I felt for her, there was a hint of intimidation too. She knew how to sing and she knew how to dance. She knew how to play the ukulele, which she'd offer to teach me, and I'd struggle every day to not let my awe of her get in the way of adequate reception and learning. Asking her to marry me was simultaneously the easiest and the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever done. By some miracle, she had agreed. With happy tears streaming down her face as I'd held her tight in my arms with an ardent promise to never let her go. I'd felt so deeply, so strongly in that moment that no matter what happens, I'd cherish and love this woman for as long as I live and breathe, and nothing can ever change that. Well, nothing has, and nothing ever will. The rest of the story I'm about to narrate is where the other shoe drops. Every too good to be true story sounds ominous because nothing is ever meant to last. It's the very nature of all the things that exist in this world, all limited by time. My life came to a standstill following a hospital visit I'd accompanied my wife to on a Friday afternoon. Nothing could have prepared me for the diagnosis and what it entailed. Acceptance came a lot later than it maybe should have. Sometimes I wonder if I'd merely accepted fate earlier than trying to fight it. Would the few happy memories of the time outnumber the sad ones? I cannot know. But I, through these years, have realized that it would be painful to reminisce past memories, but even more so, that we won't be able to make new ones. If I said that in every moment that followed, in every moment that I tried to make her happy, I wasn't dying inside, I would be lying. The truth was my wife did not have a lot of time on her hands. Time is a social construct. It is something humans have created to navigate and better manage their lives. It is such an integral part of our lives that we never learn how to live without it. Some writers use it as a tool for narration to help make sense of events, help arrange them in a pattern that's easy to understand. While others use these specific events, they give power over others that stand to divide time in segments big and small, significant and mundane. A story recalled in befores and afters. And as for me, I have learned to live without it.